Okay, we're continuing on last day of school for Maymester. We're going to do some Q&A review. One question we did have, the reason I asked you to pull that UFM is because you want to see how you're going to have your box, how you're going to have, where does the, I'm just going to use this as an example. Do you have the box? Where does your period go? And then how much space do you have? Because I'm seeing all kinds of things. I'm seeing a big gap here, and then right here we need Q5. And right from the UFM question, how many tabs do you go? 5 over for your Q, 5 over for your start, 5 over for your colloquy. That's a CSR question. 5, 5, 5. Okay, so we're going to have to play with that. When you get an opportunity to work with your neighbors on that, find out how you put the box. I know Tracy had a question. How do you put the box? Does anybody know off the top of their head from their Eclipse?
Mine's not printing on here.
Yours isn't printing?
It's because your settings are set correct.
So
settings display, and then well, settings display.
I'll just adjust it. Well, I'm not
Okay,
using
so something y'all can work on.
Should I be switching over to the Eclipse?
Oh yeah, if you want. I mean,
Do I have?
You don't have to. No, yours is working.
Every
That's
time
fine.
I misstroke, it'll bring it over one space, and sometimes you just don't even notice.
When you don't notice. You see that one on there? Yeah.
Yeah, I did it twice, and I didn't notice it. Like if I write the Q and I misstroke it, for whatever reason, a lot of times I'll misstroke it and I'll put a space and then the word yes, because I have a global for it to go Q yes. But
Can I show that real quick? Because I have a question on that one. One of the things that students started doing in high speeds, well, actually at different speeds, on your question and answer bank, you started globaling all your mistakes, because you're not always going to get a perfect question and answer bank. That's okay to do. Global your mistakes, and this may be why on Heather's, if you global, and I'm not saying this happened necessarily for Heather, but if you're going to global all of your Q&As, you want to make sure that, see how she says sometimes she hits it differently and there's too many spaces? It went over a little bit. It's not, I mean, it's not really technical or anything. I just wanted to bring it to your attention. But it might be something that you globaled in as a mistake for Q&A. Does anybody know what the UFM says about Q&A and periods? Come on, question.
it's optional.
Excellent, it's optional. You do or you don't have to have them. It's just optional. If you're going to work someplace and they're going to say, why don't you have your periods? Oh, sure, you change them. But it's optional for you. Thank you. Okay, let's just see what we can do on this Q&A. First one we're going to discuss, and this may be in the Morrison's reporters, if not, it's going to be on Corey Porter's deal. But you know, guys, you are going to a convention. You should make your list of questions. You're going to have the experts there. You know, ask them and go to the exhibitors and see if there's books that you might be able to buy on certain things. You know, I would ask everybody there about that penalty phase. Get a good answer. Okay, at this time, would you please? At this time, commas okay there. Some didn't have it, some did. At this time, would you please state your name for the record? It's a polite request. You don't need a question mark. I couldn't pinpoint the rule on it, but it's there. It's an understood court reporting rule. It's just a period. Okay. My name is, how old are you? 45. See, but okay. Again, the only reason I want to stress, if you do something and you're checking against a hard copy, the hard copy may not always be correct. Okay. What would you have done here? Because 45, it's not only is it a year old, it's age, but 10 and over you write out anyway, right? So that would have got you both. But she was consistent, or he. 900 First Avenue North. I think everybody had that one. Here again, see the consistency? 20 years. Okay, let's study this one. Have you ever been convicted of a crime? Question mark. Yes. Period. I have one conviction. If the answer was yes, I have been convicted, what would you do? I think I wrote that on some of y'all's. Comma. Do you see why? Okay. Have you ever been convicted of a crime? Yes, I have. Yes, comma, I have, period. He's answering that. Here it says, have you ever been convicted of a crime? Yes, I have one conviction. That's not what he asked you. How many convictions do you have or whatever? It can be tricky. All I want you to know is that you've got to think about how you're going to answer that, because it can hit you so many times throughout. Okay? But obviously, yes, I have been convicted of BS, comma. Everybody got this wrong.
I thought about it.
I thought about it too.
I thought real hard about it, and I was like, that just seems weird.
I'll tell you a real simple rule.
The probation belongs to
2 years of probation. Anytime you can add that word.
Probation of 2 years.
Probation of 2 years. Either way, make your little rule.
I
Probation
remember that.
of 2 years.
So you
Yeah.
hear the S, so that goes out.
Uh-huh. And it's just, it's not years apostrophe S apostrophe
I
year,
didn't think about that.
okay? It's just an apostrophe there. Some put or some did not put the comma. I mean, it makes sense to have it there, but any other problems with the long? That's why I wrote on here, discuss page numbers and uniform format manual lookup. So that's going to be y'all's exercise. Get together with each other to figure out how you do that. Check the convention. You know that Keith is going to be there from Eclipse on the convention on a Sunday morning, so get your questions ready. Make sure you're taking your machines, and he's got a wealth of information. Let's see what we've got here.
Did you say you take your machines to the convention?
Well, when you have, look at the agenda on what you're going to be learning at the convention, and if Keith is there, you definitely want to take your machines because he's going to be training you on Eclipse.
If you plan on going Sunday morning, you definitely want your machine.
That's when he's going to be there, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You definitely want your
Yeah.
machine.
He's good. He's good because everybody
And then
had to
I'll
pay.
need Eclipse, I guess, for that. Then.
Well, but you can still get tips from him.
Oh, but there'll be, who do you use?
Ditch that.
They may just be there.
Yeah.
All of the
Software companies.
They're usually there on Sunday doing their own little seminar.
Okay, I've never been to a convention.
And I do have a very important announcement I want to make. When you do go to the convention, you visit all those vendors. They have things for you. Go to them. Make some time to go extra. If you have not sent a thank you note to your sponsor, please do so immediately. This is unheard of to have an association 100% sponsor student. It's unheard of.
Yeah, it's really.
And we're gonna get the president. We're gonna get a notice to the president on what's happening, so they can write them a thank you. But I really need everybody to confirm, because especially if you think you're not gonna go, you need to let them know. But confirm a thank you to your sponsor, because you don't know who your sponsor is. It's not necessarily your mentor. And Tanya has sent out like 3 emails about that, so I'm thinking, there might still be something happening. So if y'all could do that. Okay. Recognizance. We had a little bit of trouble. Anybody have a good way to write that? Recognizance. Recognizance bond. Anybody have a good shortcut?
I think that,
Recognizance.
I think I write Roinz.
Roinz, R-O-I-N-Z. Roinz, okay. Roinz bond. You know, it goes together with recognizance bond, but
I have R long EGZ.
reach. R long E.
Yeah, maybe that's what I
GZ.
use. I'm not sure.
GZ.
That's steno life.
Okay, recognizance. Good, find something, and it's not always recognizance bond, sometimes it's he came out on his own recognizance. To make a difference from how you would write recognize.
Mark's is just R-O-Z.
Really? Roz.
I
There
like
you go.
that one.
That's my
Roz.
That's your what? Rose?
Okay, let's talk about grand jury. Some had it,
Yeah.
some had it capped, and then further down it comes out again, as long as you're consistent. And I believe we looked it up, and it says, when it says the Bexar County Grand Jury, obviously you would have Bexar County Grand Jury. And if they're talking about the Bexar County Grand Jury, and then later on they say, and the grand jury also decided, then you would still keep it capped because you already have been identified as Bexar County. Here they didn't identify it. I mean, I probably still would have capitalized it only because that's how I write. I just give them recognition. I just like to give recognition to people.
I was gonna capitalize it because it almost sounds like a person.
Yeah,
Like court.
like the court.
So, but I didn't, because it wasn't given to us. as a
And I don't think there's a
combination.
wrong answer, but if you had a question for the best choice, if it's with the name, for sure. If it's not, it doesn't have to be. When the grand jury heard the case, comma. Remember we talked about so many rules on commas? And on this one, that handout that we gave you, can we figure out why you would have done it there?
It's an introductory class.
No.
When we learn it, yeah.
You're on page,
You know how I learned for like the introductory clauses how to kind of test it?
Mhm.
If you can take that part and put it at the end and it still makes sense, then you know, like you could say, I volunteered to appear and tell my side of the story when the grand jury heard my case.
very good, okay?
Yeah, that's good.
Good tip. So that's when you know it's an introductory clause, so you can take it. All right. We need to always remember, exhibits are always capitalized. Exhibit C, exhibit. Now I'll show you exhibit. I mean, I even went so far as every time they talked about the exhibit, without the number, I still capped it. But I mean, for sure, when it's with a letter. You might even find some reporters doing exhibit quote E, exhibit quote B, exhibit quote, I mean, just, it's a matter of preference. A state attorney was capped here, you know, it's okay. They still didn't identify which county. I recall getting a frantic telephone call when I was on the road. A few of y'all put this as a series. My wife said she wanted me home fast. Okay, maybe a semicolon would have been better. Two separate thoughts there. And the period is what you want. Or that was the correct one. She appeared in a lot of pain. Let's see. Do you have any idea? Okay, here we go. Here's a good one, Maria. Do you have any idea who the men were who attacked her? No, sir, comma, I have no idea. See, it's directly answering that. No, sir, period. I wish I did, or, you know, something different. And then a period here, I don't know who would want to do that. What do you have to do for narcotics? What do you do for the narcs that are turning everybody in?
About the team.
Put an asterisk.
The asterisk, make sure you have something different. Okay. Again, of course I did. Some had, of course, comma, I did. That's okay too. This is the way this was. Of course I did, but there was nothing much I could tell. They walked all over the house, taking pictures of fingerprints. Comma could go there, maybe. Y'all do fingerprints, Fritz, F-R-I-N-T-S, for fingerprints, as a brief? Fritz. F-R makes a lot of sense. F-R-I-N-T-S.
And footprints? You have to have one for both, huh?
Yeah.
Prints and.
I think footprints.
Prints and
I
FATs.
think you would have final, initial F, final BTS.
Yeah, that's what my fingerprint is.
Okay, what do you have for fingerprints? Initial F?
PT.
PT? Okay. And I would say that fingerprints is going to be coming out a lot more than footprints. A lot more. So maybe prints, if you're using that one, and then with the asterisk on there. Okay. This one you kind of have to have this comma here. Who made the decision to place your wife in a rehab? We both did, comma, acting on the advice. Still, there was probably a third on advice and advise. I just want you to make sure you have a good outline and it comes out, so you don't have to figure out which one it is. Here's another one. Were you aware that your wife had a cocaine problem and was dependent on it? No, period. He's answering the question. No, period. Let's discuss this. How did the attack change your life? I got with my boss and we worked out an arrangement where I drove a truck Monday through Friday. Can you do this? I had 2 people do that. Can you do that Monday through Friday? If, all we did was we Googled to find out, and it said the proper way is to not do that. Okay? And then we had something like, if it was a drive-through restaurant, then it's drive-thru restaurant. Okay?
So American.
So what's that?
So American.
So American. Yes, we're in America. We're in America. And everybody did Owl Purdue, OWL Purdue, and monstergrammar.com just to save them as references. And some of you may not have gone this far, but we're reviewing just a couple of things. Do you think this would be one word ever?
Yes.
When my wife was released from rehab in December, I hired a nurse for weekday duty. I don't know. It's one word. I mean, it's one word, but again, were there any unusual things that happened at your home? Yes, comma, there were several things. And I think that's basically it. Any questions on this? I have one more thing here, guys. Let's discuss this one. And some of you may not have reached this far, but that's okay. Would you please identify Exhibit B for the record? And it's question mark. Because remember, they're asking them, can you? When they're talking about exhibits, they're actually physically asking you, do you recognize this? Can you? But when they're saying, can you state your name, please? Well, you know, obviously they can state their name. That's why it's a polite command. But this one,
Would you please identify yourself?
would you please identify yourself? That, well, I don't know about that one, Grant. I don't know what I would do on that.
You see, it was the would you
Yeah, that
for
got
me. If it says, please state your name for the record, then I don't put a period, I just put period. But when it's would you or could you,
Well,
it's expecting an answer.
yeah, on the way you have it for please identify yourself, I wouldn't know, but I know that would you state your name for the record, the consistency with the reporters is a period, because it's a polite commitment. I mean, again, you can ask about the convention. Okay, you have a lot of reporters there, guys. So what would you do here? Question mark still? I think it makes sense. You need it there.
Because he could say nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because would you state your name? They're not going to say
State
no.
the bid.
Can you say I can't?
Yeah, yes, I can.
All right. Then we have our last one. And one thing, go ahead.
No.
One thing I want to share with y'all, because we're thinking about how we're going to do this for the summer, and I'm saying it because we have a good group here right now, enough to listen to this. When you're doing your tests, your mocks or your performance challenges, and you're taking them, we're going to do different things, and we're going to monitor you because we want to give you a grade on how you've progressed. So say you're taking your test at 180 with 80 errors, okay? And that's what you started with. But at the end of the summer, you're doing your 180 with 90 errors. That's improvement. We're going to try and show your improvement. Ideally, we want you to go over that hump and get your 96% accuracy. But the reason that we're taking what all of y'all are saying on suggestions, we're putting things together to make it work as a group. But this paper here that shows your errors, you need to keep this with you all the time. Okay? So if you're taking a 160 test, 96 to pass it, it's just 32 errors. You know if you're taking a test if you've got 32 errors. Okay? If you think you're not going to pass it, don't waste your time transcribing that on those Wednesdays or Tuesdays, whenever we're going to do it. But you need to get a final copy because that's what we're going to review in church. I was going to say church. That's what we're going to review. That's what we're going to view together here. So ideally, on those dates when you take your performance challenges, try to, if you think you're passing it, that's going to be your day to work it, and you've got an hour to take your test that you think you passed. If you didn't, we want you to spend the time, drop it down as much as you need to, but on that day, we want you to complete your 3 tests. And like I said, it doesn't matter, you want to go down to 140 to complete it, because you don't have that much time. But it should get faster and faster and faster. You should be able to get this transcript, it's 5 minutes. You should be able to get your transcripts in a lot quicker. I had a student on Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever we were here, come up to me and she was done. She says, am I done? I said, yeah, but that's because you get better at transcribing, okay? So to make this work on the days that we're going to do reviewing, we've got a lot to cover, and we want everybody to be on the same page, and it's a lot of grading. We don't mind doing that, but we're grading and we're giving you opportunities to work on it. And then we want to still let you have time to work on your speed building too. So we don't want to bombard you with stuff, but there's a method to this madness, okay? So on the days when you're testing, you need to turn in 3 tests. Okay, so I know, Stas, you didn't have this information, but we're going to turn in 3 tests. So if you know that you've got more than your limit here, don't waste your time. It's not helping you, because you're not listening to the tape when you're doing your tests. Okay, and when we're asking you to get a complete transcript, you can use a tape, you can drop it down, you can lower it. Do in 120, do 140, just so you get your 3 papers in that day. Okay, and then you have time to work on something else. And then if you want to see how you did on that test, then you have time to work on it. We can still grade it on, if you want us to help you, we can show you the hard copy, we'll review whatever we want. But we're trying to make it so that way you have enough time to get it done, and we're trying to get a schedule down, so that way you know what's going to be expected of you. Okay? Thoughts? Any questions?
So after we take the test at, say, 120 or whatever, do we go back and listen to it and fix errors?
Yeah,
in the transcript?
you fix it, because we're going to call that day when we're reviewing, we're going to call it payday. Okay? Because you're the reporter and you're turning in the work and you're going to get paid. So what would you do? How would you turn it in to me to get paid? That means you would do your research and figure out.
How much are you going to pay me?
Well, girl, I'm telling you, if it's a hard thing, you get more. Okay? So that's,
I thought so, but I just want to make sure.
yeah. Yeah, you can still use it, you can drop it down. We wanna help you with this, and we definitely want you to transcribe. But I know the higher speeds, there's so much to cover that it's almost impossible in 3 hours to do the details that we're asking you to do. So we still want you to do the 3. Drop them down if you want. Just get it done, a good copy, a real good copy, unless you're working on something that you think you're passing, which you wouldn't worry about it because you're going to turn in that passing grade and you're going to grade.
And you want us to tell you if we're going to transfer.
Yeah, anything, because that's the goal, is you're going to start passing these tests.
No, I mean, because you're going to time us.
And I think we're going to suggest that everybody gets their own, even in their own, headset, as opposed to playing it out.
Well, you know, the last month she played it on the,
That's better.
oh my gosh, night and day.
Good. Good.
The sound was great.
So we're like I said, we've been going through different things, taking ideas, and we're always open for suggestions.
Well, I like how you set it up, like the test is actually going to be, like we're going to be listening to headphones, correct?
Mhm.
The actual test.
Well, on the CSR, at CSR actually they play it the way they do now, and that's why we had it. They play it, which is even a little bit harder. So,
You're not doing headphones? Okay.
But it was good the way it was.
but it was better. See, they have a sophisticated, because the first time it was difficult. It was like noise.
The sound came through there. And it
That's
sounded
good.
so good.
And think about it. Think about this too. We're also grooming you so that you're here early enough to set up. Because if you have problems with your computer and it's a CSR, nothing you could do. Nothing you could do. You know. I mean, you were ready to go. She was here. She was on time. She was ready to go on the minute we started.
But all, nothing.
Yeah. So CSR days, you get there, and I think they open it like an hour and a half ahead to let you in. Let's just do a little bit of this lit. There's not too much on the lit. Everybody did a fantastic job. I saw a lot of improvement. I saw a lot of improvement on paragraphing, actually.
That's a nice line.
That's fine.
Is mine not there? This is my key. This is my testimony.
Oh,
I think this is my old one.
I turned in here.
it's not the one we're gonna do? Yeah, that old one is from last week.
Oh.
Let's see. So I was up late. Watching when I watching the Spurs. You know what? I don't see it, but follow along and okay. Oh, here it is. Excellent, great paragraphing. Let's just see, there are just a few things on this one that we can do here. Okay. The only thing here, father to 4 teenage children, it would be FOUR. This comma is needed because he's doing different thoughts here with my 5th and last child being only a year away. It is a privilege of those who have children to watch them change before our eyes. Some people started putting a paragraph right here, I think, and
Yeah.
but I think with that rule that
It's
at
just
least
too long. Look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines. But it wasn't that. It wasn't really that. I had to think. He is now changing topics a little bit. He's talking about, I know how hard it is to be in this place. So it's kind of an introduction to a new thought. It is the privilege of those who have children. That's got nothing to do with being an interesting time in his life.
I can see your point there. And I think what they're trying to show is it's still important reporting. You do have big paragraphs. If there's anything you can add in there. Here, babies in diapers, comma, and now, few did this, which makes sense. And now, comma, here they are, comma, almost adults, or nothing, comma, and now, here they are, almost adults. Again, commas are also used for ease of reading, for the reader. What would you do here? Everybody had something different. One of the things I wanted to know was what they wish that their fathers knew about them. Like maybe a dash? Or is it knew about them? Should it be comma, their challenges, comma, their emotions in their lives? I'm saying this is like a series that's connected to this. They put a colon. I don't think a colon makes sense there. I would have put a dash, but you want to do something. You have to do something rather than do nothing on there. Anybody have any thoughts on that? How were you reading it? One of the things I wanted to know was that what they wish that their fathers knew about them.
I think the three are good. A dash, colon,
Okay? Feedback. One word. Check your dictionaries to make sure. One word. Let's talk about this. I started grading this. I started changing it. I started researching, and I even asked Miss Woodard any
one
more.
word.
Because here, and if you look at it, it's one word in the dictionary and it's two words. It just depends. You do not have any more time to do anything else. Two words.
No.
The first thing they tell you is that they are not a child anymore. They're not a child any longer. So
That's what the word means.
Yeah.
I looked it up.
Comfortable that it's one word. Okay? And see how here it's two words? So, again, these papers are not always correct, and that's just why. And as we're grading them, we're following this, so we're having to think, like, is that correct or not? That's why I started marking it off on some. Almost more than anything, comma, teens want their respect.
Oh, can you go up a little bit?
Sure.
With that feedback in mind,
Uh-huh.
what follows are 10 things.
Oh, why they didn't put a comma?
No,
A colon?
beginning of the line,
Okay.
underneath, beginning of that line. Go to the left.
Right here. With that feedback?
No, yeah, go read the sentence.
With
What-
that feedback in mind, what
What
follows?
follows are 10 things. Why is 10 written in out?
Because it's 10 and under. That's written.
But it's 10 and above.
It's 10 and under. Let's look at it. It's 10 and under.
It's 10 and under.
I put a digit, but I don't know. What's the rule?
I bet it did it too. I got it wrong.
Okay, so
What's the rule?
it's 10 and
What
under.
Morrison's?
Morrison's.
Maria's got the books.
It's 10 and above.
Does anybody have that one sheet that Nori happened to give us last
Oh,
week?
yeah, I do.
It might be on there too.
But is that court reporting?
Oh, yeah, number.
And I think this one is not necessarily court
For
reporting
all
on
numbers 10 and above.
10 and above.
10 and above. Excellent. Excellent. Good.
So it is a
Generally-
digit.
Love learning
You're
something.
welcome, class.
But no.
Thank you.
the
Right,
It's a
sentence is-
digit.
Generally,
Yes.
numbers from 1 to 10 are spelled out. When they are isolated, they do not relate to age, date, money, percent, fractions, measurements, or any specific reference.
Okay.
Go on.
Say it again.
So what?
With these references, the rules vary and are discussed in other rules that follow.
Okay, so something we're gonna have to get our book and review. So that's
I don't like
okay.
it. She didn't spell her name right.
So 10 and above. Thank you for bringing that out. Backing up right here, so you couldn't hear this. Some of the students couldn't hear this. It was wished or wish, and it was the same thing up here. We had a little bit of inconsistency, but that is
Yeah.
hard to catch in dictation. But on a test, those could be the 2 words you need.
I did not even hear wish.
I didn't either.
Not sure about that. I don't think she said wish.
Okay. Which could be happening. She has these tests 5 times, so that could be. Okay. That's a good end. Let's look at this one. Of course, we all know that children mature in different ways and at different times. You need something, and it can't just be a comma, because it's a whole separate train of thought. A semicolon or period. However, comma, you should try to determine where your child is in this process. Agree?
Mhm.
As they reach your teens, this one, there's a little paragraph that you can play with here. You know, I saw a lot of different ways, but it still makes sense. As they reach early teens, try to be aware of the situation, comma or not. We had some that put commas.
I think not, because work at treating them a little more at an adult level. Well, I guess
It's
that's
not a complete thought.
Because you're doing 2 things. You're going to try to be aware, and you're going to try to work. So that's why we want to get really good with our commas. And this was item number 2, and that's why this would be the paragraph. They also say that they're ready to be an adult, okay? There wasn't much more on that made sense. I have a question. Did she say anything on the dictation that said, would rather, quote, hang out?
No.
So, because some of y'all put the quotes in there, and I don't know how you would know it. There's really no tip that we give you, that they'd rather hang out, unless, you say it. Like when we're dictating, we go, hang out. You know that. I'm going to do this online here. When we're dictating and we go, you'd rather hang out, you would put, I did
Then
something.
maybe it's kind of a slang. I mean, I don't know.
Hang out, okay. I don't know, I didn't know where y'all got that from, but that was correct what she did here. There's no way you would know though. Did some of y'all have them and some had themselves in the dictation?
I have themselves.
Yes, I have them. I don't know.
But did she say them at one time? Because there were several that had them only.
I had them, I guess.
Did you have
Well, I don't know, I wrote them.
I don't know, so I was just asking, how do you write your themselves? Is it just with an extra S? So maybe check your global outline to make sure your them and your themselves is coming out correctly, right? Okay. 3, everybody knows this, right? From like elementary 101 court reporting, never has an E. Judgment, just make sure. And nobody did, but some brought this up here and started the paragraph here. It's okay, but there are many times, and the only reason I write it, guys, because I want to show you what it's compared to on the actual written form. That's why it's there. It's not always that it's correct. It's just you have those options. And this one was pretty important. Always, always, always. Periods inside quotes at the end of a sentence. Always. See, this is incorrect. And then here, where she's got a comma, or he, this may be in a state, there's no reason for a comma there. And I don't think any of y'all did it. This may be in a state or another type of expression.
Stare.
I'm sorry, stare. This may be a stare or another type of expression that will let them know. And I think that's it. How about this? At least, your introductory phrase again, guys? Is that what you're saying? At least, comma. That is the way that it should be. So, everybody did really well. Everybody did really well on your list. And that's why we ask you to drop it down, get a good copy to get paid. And then you have time to move on to something else. Okay? So, any questions on those? I'm saving, I'm not giving you back your jury charge. I think we've had enough for now.
Did you want our jury charge?
I did, that's why.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's okay. Before next Tuesday, even if you
So
do.
from now on, you want all 3?
We want all 3. I don't know if you were in the room when we were talking about that. We want all 3 of something. But drop it down. And guys, I don't care if it's 120. Get something so that in that time period, you're going to be done with it.
So even if you think you passed one and you do it as a past test, then you still need to go back
No,
and
no,
do the
no.
other 2?
No, we're going to let you grade. If you think you passed one, that's good enough.
Oh,
She's
then
asking if you have to do the other two, like, you think you passed the Q&A, you still have to,
Yes.
do you still have to turn in like something, like a good copy, like drop down the other 2 and turn it in?
Yeah.
Yes, because we'll be reviewing
Okay.
something in class.
Yes, so no matter what, you need 3.
No matter what, you need 3. But we don't want this to be a marathon where you're going to be overwhelmed with it. We want you to do something. And again, you won't have to do anything if you're taking those 3 tests and you think you're passing them. You just turn those in, and we'll grade those, and that's what you're going to follow in
And
class.
we're gonna do the must too as well,
And you're going to have your must.
4 days a week? For the summer?
School. Your must will be short, though. And your must will be short. And you know what? We're going to...
We don't know class Friday?
No, there's no school on Fridays.
Oh.
And that's why we're breaking it down to what you have to do, because you're not going to have a lot of time. We'll just go over highlighted rules. Whatever are in the test, we can review it and tell you what would, just like what we had with the comma, would you state your name, please? That's something we can bring to your attention. Don't panic. We're going to make this work for you. You're not going to have a lot, because we know what this summer did to you. We know that it took a lot. But you know what I'm telling you? If you had to transcribe, it is helping your writing. It is helping your writing. You have to understand that. And we are pushing. If you're writing above and you're not there, don't do that. There's no sense. Think about how far you've been at that plateau. And if you're just writing 40 words above your speed limit and you're not doing that, take 1 month. and just do clean. This is where I'm at. Nobody else is in the school. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. These tests that we're asking you to do, if you do it at a speed that you take it, you should whip it out. You should be able to whip them out. Okay? So when you're ready for the CSR, and by that time you've moved your way up, you're not going to have trouble transcribing because you've got all these kinks out. Okay? That's our goal. I'm telling you, we're pushing our goal to get you as court reporters to trust us. There's going to be work. There's going to be work. There's going to be a lot of work.
This summer going to be like in class Tuesday, Thursday?
It's got to be Tuesday, Thursday because we're not here on Fridays.
I was wondering why you guys didn't do it like on Monday, Thursday. Monday, giving us time to go through the SAC pack so that Thursday we take the tests. And then you guys have the whole weekend to correct them.
Oh, it doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't matter about our grading. We're not doing this at all for our grading because I'm telling you.
No, I'm just saying that it gives us a week to practice from the material that we receive. But if we start, in a sense, we're only going to have, I thought we'd only have Monday to kind of work on stuff and speed up. And then Tuesday, all of a sudden, we're hitting the test.
But this is what you've got to do. All these little things that we're giving you, these are just little pieces of the pie on your own. All that material that you have to practice, we're just telling you to practice smart. Don't practice at 40 words a minute if you're not getting it. If you're not getting it and you're blowing your test for 6 months and you're not getting it, we're really trying to help. But, you know, give us a month.
So mocks are on Tuesdays.
So the must, we turn it on Tuesday. So it'll be
Monday, like it's gonna call Monday. So whatever, we'll put the must on the week. You have a whole week to do it. You turn it in on Monday. You've got the weekend to do it. There'll be something. And you know, I'm thinking I'd like to throw in something on commas, like do a must on commas, so we have something to read, and you know, maybe some examples of how would you actually do these. And again, I want to stress on the must. I don't want you to break out and not figure out what to do. I want you to do something to turn in because we're going to review it together. So it's no big deal. You don't have to have it perfect, but do something. I'd like to have it perfect because I'm going to pay you. Pretend. Okay.
Wait, you're paying them.
Pay you. Okay, so do you see, and I'm only telling this because we're going to talk a little bit about this on, in orientation. We're going to have to explain to the new ones come in. We're not going to have a lot of time because Tuesday you come in, you're going to hit the ground running on your tests. Right? On Tuesday you're going to, but see, you're already there. You've got the kinks out of the way, and you will see improvement. This reading back is going to help you. Transcribing is going to help you. I mean, I would.
Well, that's the majority of our jobs, transcribing.
This is easy. This is easy. Taking down's easy. Woo. And now you got to transcribe it when you're fatigued, when you got to go to work the next day, when you got to look up all those words. Who's going to do it for you? Nobody.
And it's not going to be 4 pages. It's going to be like how many?
You get 30 pages an hour.
It's gonna be a lot.
And if you're there for 3 hours, if you're there,
30 pages an hour.
basically, and if you're there for 3 hours,
No joke.
And
How
it-
long does it take to transcribe all of that?
and the nice ones are, state your name. I was wearing red. That's why Q&A is $2.25 because it's supposed to be easy. The hard ones are, doctor, tell me where you went to school and tell me about the procedure. And the doctor goes on for 5 pages on an answer. That's why I'm doing the must, guys. Okay, to get you just to, and you know, I want to tell you, I'm so impressed because what we're seeing is we're giving these classes and everybody's just there like a court reporter. Just working. Okay, so now what I want you to do is go, and if you're listening by tape, and I know this was extra, I'm hoping you're listening to it because everybody there asked for permission to be out. I want you to hear that. But now I want you to go into the Maymester, under Bloom Maymester, and what we're going to do is we're going to look at, I believe it's lesson 31, the latest one that's up there, and I want you to hear 2. I want you to hear it, and you can hear it at whatever speed we're going to do. When I tell you mark your notes, you know what that means. Okay? So take your time, and if you're still, because as you're at a lower speed or a higher speed, you may be done earlier, find something else you want to practice on while we're waiting for everybody. If you're listening at home, what I want you to do is do the Maymester, write it down, and read it to somebody. to have that. And if you're missing on a day when we're doing this, we're gonna have to make up where you're gonna read to the
Do you
instructors.
want me to stay?
Okay?
Can I read? You're just doing the reading part now?
That's all we're gonna cover.